Hi everybody, happy Thursday. I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps and this is Lunchtime Live episode 110. For those of you who are new here, Lunchtime Live is basically my video newsletter. So first I'm going to tell you everything that's going on at Stitches and Scraps, what I've got coming up for next week and all of that. And then we end the session with a quick demo. Now for 2022, I've been doing a stitch of the week, alternating between knit and crochet stitches. This is a crochet week, and we're going to be looking at the crochet stair step stitch. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But first, as I'm going through all the stuff that's new on the blog and all of that, if you want to see any of the links to that stuff, go in the description on this video and you'll see one link that goes to a blog post. In that post, I have a whole list of everything I plan to talk about with the links to it. So anything that I show you or talk about, if you want to get there, go to that link in the description on the video. So let's get started with what's new at Stitches and Scraps. The newest post that came out, or the two newest posts, one was the tutorial, the final tutorial for bag number 5 in the Bag Along Cal. Hi Beth, good to see you. So the final tutorial is for the lining, and this is a box bottom lining with a pocket, if I can find the pocket. There's the pocket. So with a pocket, let me show you, I'll pull it out. It's got the boxed corners right here, so you can see it creates, you know what, I'm just gonna switch to here, this is easier. Here we go. It's got these boxed corners, so it creates depth in the bag. It's not just a flat lining. So like here's where the front and back panels are sewn together, and then the corners are kind of boxed out to give you that rectangular shape. So there's the side panel. So like this width becomes the side panel. And the tutorial for doing that plus adding the pocket is all in that one tutorial. And that came out earlier this week. I think I posted it Monday. It was scheduled for Tuesday, but I think I like rushed it and posted it Monday. And then the other thing, oh well, let me finish with this. That is the last post for this bag, which means we're almost wrapped up with this bag and the giveaway deadline is coming up soon. So remember to enter the giveaway. I want to say it ends on the 25th, but I could be wrong on that. It ends soon though. So go to, if you go to any of the Bag Along posts, it'll tell you where the giveaway is, but go to the materials post for bag number 5. That's where the giveaway is. And I'm pretty sure I've got that linked in the link in the description on the video. If not, I'll put it there later today. But go there and enter the giveaway. We are giving away this time a notebook and ruler from We Crochet. Really pretty notebook. I didn't bring it, but I'll bring it next week and show you. Okay, so that's Bag Along news. And that means coming up, I'm going to have the materials and the giveaway for bag number 6, which is the final bag in the Bag Along. Can you believe we've made it all the way through? So that one's coming out next week. Hi Tony, good to see you. No, that one's coming out in a couple of weeks. By the end of the month, I'll have the final bag, just the materials and the giveaway for that, for the Bag Along Cal. But meanwhile, don't forget to enter the giveaway for this one. It's in the materials post. So like when I post the materials for the bag, I post the giveaway in that post. So it's in that post. The other thing I've been working on, well, the other thing that came out this week. So you guys know I've been weaving, right? I don't know how many of you weave. Hi, Joanne, good to meet you. I don't know how many of you weave, but if you do weave, and particularly if you're a rigid heddle or 4-shaft weaver, those are types of looms. So funny thing happened. I've been following, you know how when you pick up a new craft, you start following everybody who makes pretty things with that craft, and pretty soon your entire social media feed is nothing but that one craft. Yeah, so I've been following some weavers on Instagram, and one of the weavers I follow, her handle is the Rogue Weaver. Her name is Tammy. Hi Chantal, good to see you. All the way from Belgium, wow. So I've been following Tammy for a while, and the other day, a few weeks ago, Tammy posted a teaser picture of a pattern she was working on for a rigid heddle book. And she said it's for a rigid heddle book. And I'm like, but I like this pattern. And it was Swedish lace. And at the time I was already working on a draft for some Huck lace curtains that I made. And I'm like, I really like this pattern, but she said it's a rigid heddle book, and so I'm not going to be able to use it. And so I looked at the picture and tried to like reverse engineer it and come up with a 4-shaft draft for it. And I emailed her and I said, look, this is just for me. Obviously, I'm not stealing your pattern. But is this sort of similar to what you did? And she was like, sort of, maybe in that it's weaving. But then she helped me to sort it all out. And get a 4-shaft draft, basically, like the two of us together put together this 4-shaft draft that made the pattern she was doing for her rigid heddle book. And so she put it in the book, and she sent me a copy of the book to review. So I'm a brand new weaver, and I drew this 4-shaft draft for her, and it's in her book, and I'm so excited by that. But anyway, she sent me a copy of the book, so I did a review on the book, and that is up on the blog. So if you're into weaving, I wouldn't say this is a great book for like the very first time you ever weave anything, because it's sort of a more intermediate weaving project. It's Swedish lace, specifically Swedish lace on a rigid heddle loom. And it includes a 4-shaft draft that I drew. But anyway, the review for that is up there. So if you're a weaver, if you know any weavers, send them out there to that review, because it is a really good book. Okay. So that, and it's not just one pattern. It's like one pattern used over 4 different projects, where she changes things like the set and the striping pattern and all of that to get 4 completely different projects. So that's kind of cool too, to see how it's kind of like seeing a stitch pattern in crochet and like how you can use it in different ways. That's how this book is. So weavers, go look at that. Meanwhile, I'm working on, for next week, a scarf. If you guys know Umbaka Designs and a Stitching Mommy, that's Rhonda and Amy, they do a Scarf of the Month and Hat of the Month club. And what it is each designer, there's 12 of us, will pick one month and do both a scarf and a hat in that month for this crochet along. And Amy and Rhonda each do a scarf and a hat too. So by the end of it, you've got 36 scarves and 36 hats in this crochet along. So my month is November. My month is not November. My month is October. We are in October right now. My month is October, and my hat or my scarf is coming out next week. So that pattern is this one, and nobody's seen this yet, except you guys. I think I showed you. But it's basically, it's columns of clusters. I think I called it clustered columns because I'm just that creative. I actually like the back of it. This is the front of it. The front has more puffy texture and the back is more smooth. And I don't know, I like the back. But this is technically the front. But that pattern will be coming out, I want to say it comes out on Sunday. But that's, yeah, so that'll start the week off. And then next week's kind of a big week for me personally. I've got a friend coming to visit, and I've got a couple of other events. My friend is also a designer, Mary Beth Temple. So I don't know if I'm supposed to tell people she's coming, but she's coming to visit for a couple days. So that'll be fun, but that means I won't be around all that much this week. So I think this is probably going to be all that I get posted on the blog this week. But don't worry, next week we'll start the next bag. I think it's next week, the week after this coming. I don't know. I'm lost. But this coming week, that scarf is all that's going to be up. So that is all that I've got new on the blog. Next week for Lunchtime Live, the stitch that we're going to be doing is going to be knit, what did I say it was? Knit diagonal basket weave stitch. But today we are doing a stair step stitch. So let me talk to you a little bit about this stitch, and then I will show you how to do it. Okay, so this is the crochet stair step stitch. I am calling it the stair step stitch. There is the colors are way off there. Anyway, those are not the actual colors, but whatever. Okay, so this is the stair step stitch. it's a little more red in real life. But anyway, this is the stair step stitch, and it has another name. I'm not using the other name because the other name is a little bit racially insensitive, and I actually posted about it on a forum that I'm on, and I asked them, I'm like, I can't believe this is the name of this stitch. Is this an actual, like, it originated from there, or it's, you know, like, is this a name that we should be using? And somebody who actually was Native American came and told me, no, in fact, it's been an issue for a while. People have tried to get people to stop using the name, but the name is just sticking. So I'm not using the name that this stitch originally had. It looks like stair steps. I'm calling it stair steps. If you know the name, you know it. If you don't know it, that's okay. Let's just call it stair steps. All right, so this is actually similar, but not quite the same as an overlay mosaic technique. So basically, you're working these rows of nothing but single crochet in the back loop only, right? That's all this is. This is single crochet in the back loop only. And then every so often, you're going to drop down and make a double crochet into a loop 3 rows below. So when you work in the back loop only, you've got all of these extra loops that haven't been used, and you're going to drop down and pick up those loops to make these spike stitches. And that creates the pattern. So I've done 3 rows of just plain single crochet in the back loop only. So the first row obviously goes in the chain, so that's just regular single crochet. Then back loop only, and the thing about this is you always start from the right and work to the left, and you never turn your fabric, so you end up with all your ends. Okay, you can do fringe, you can weave them in, you can do whatever you like, but you're going to end up with lots of ends. So let's start. Oh, I wanted to tell you about pattern repeats. This is a spike stitch every 4 stitches, so it's 4 single crochet and then a spike stitch. So the repeat here is 5. I'm going to show it to you with the same repeat with 5, but you can actually work any repeat you want. So you could do 20 single crochet and then a spike stitch if you wanted to. It's fine. You can do any repeat you want, and you can do it over any number of stitches that you want, because this is a stitch pattern that travels, right? So you just have extra leftover stitches on each end. No matter what you do on some rows, you're going to have extra leftover stitches on each end. So it doesn't really matter how many stitches you have. So this is 10 stitches. I'm going to do that thing with every 5. So I'm joining in the back loop only. Okay. I'm going to pull up a loop, and then I'm going to chain 1. Okay. That is my joining with a slip stitch, right? Now I'm going to do a single crochet in that same stitch, and that's my first single crochet. I never like to do the spike stitches on the first or the last stitch, and I'll show you where that comes into play later. So I'm going to do 4. That was 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm only going in the back loop, 4, okay? And now I'm going to put in a spike stitch. So it's a treble crochet, which means we yarn over twice, and we're going to drop 3 rows down. So 1, 2, 3. And just to make sure on this first one that I'm in the right stitch, I'm counting from the edge. There's the 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches that we already worked. You see that? So I'm going to drop down into this stitch, go just into that front loop there, and go 1, 2, 3 for my treble crochet. So that's created that spike. I am really getting bugged by these colors, you guys. Give me 1 second, because I am concerned that the contrast is too much and you can't see. No, I guess that's the best it's going to get. Well, we're going to be using lighter colors later, so that'll be fine. Okay, so I've done that 1 spike stitch, right? Now I'm going to skip the stitch that's behind it, because this stitch counts as being for that, you know, stitch right there. And then I'm going to just keep going another 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, keep getting the tail, and 4. Now normally I would put a spike stitch down here because that's the next stitch, right? But I don't like to do that on the end stitch, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a single crochet in the end stitch. And then I cut my yarn and I join my next color. Now when you pull out your yarn like that, you want to hold on to your stitch because otherwise it tends to really tighten it. So hold on to the edge of your stitch as you fasten off. Okay, so that's my first spike stitch. Not much of a pattern yet, right? What's my next color? It's brown. So I'm going to pick up my brown yarn. And now I'm going to put a spike one stitch further down the line on each of the repeats. So this only has one repeat so far, but I'm going to push the stitch one stitch further this way, which means since I have 4 here, I would technically have a spike stitch right here. But again, I don't like to do it in the first stitch. So I am going to just do a regular, I joined with a slip stitch and just do a regular single crochet in the first stitch. And then my 1, 2, 3, 4 more, okay? So normally that one would be a spike. It's only not because it's the first stitch, and then there's 4 regular single crochet. And then I'm coming down, and now it's really easy to see because I'm coming down to the stitch 3 rows below, 1, 2, 3, right after that spike stitch. It's the very next one. So yarn over twice, insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, then again, I've worked the equivalent of that stitch, so I don't work into there. I go in the next stitch, and now I'm only going to have 4 left because last time I had 5. 3 and 4. Okay, so that is the second row of spike stitches. I want to get you through one entire repeat, so we're going to do a few more rows. Okay, next color is the teal. I really like this color combination too. The next color, it was just random. I picked what was close at hand, but it worked. Okay, so the next color is the teal, and make sure when you join, you're not joining into that chain. You want to join into the actual stitch. So join into this stitch, okay, chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet in the first stitch. And now let's count from this spike, right? Because our spike's going to go here, right? Because this spike is here, so our spike is going to go here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches back leaves us 1 more stitch where we can put another spike. So now we're going to drop down and put another spike in. So count 1, 2, 3 rows down and the second stitch in, right? Because we've only done 1 stitch so far. So there's the first stitch, there's the second stitch. We're going to do a treble crochet into that stitch. There we go. Okay, oh, I just realized I broke my nail. I'm sorry, you guys. I know I try to have my nails nice and neat for this, but I forgot today. Okay, so that was for that stitch, and now the next stitch here, we're just going to start doing our single crochets in the back loop only. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can actually stop counting after a while because you just stop when you hit the spike stitch you did last time, right? And then we're going to do 2 yarn overs, drop down 1, 2, 3 rows into here. Okay, and then we worked the equivalent of that stitch, so we go on to the next one, and there's 1, 2, 3 left. All right. So I found a trick with this pattern, not really a trick, but because you're working 3 rows below, if you use 4 colors, you're always working into the same color with the same color. So well, that sounded confusing, but because I'm using 4 colors, purple will always work into brown, brown will always work into teal, teal will always work into yellow, and then yellow, which I'm going to do next, will always work into purple. That only works because I'm doing 4 colors and I'm dropping down 3 rows. That is not always the case, so don't assume that will always be the case on this if you've got a different number of colors or if you're dropping down a different number of rows as well. Okay, so one more time, we're going to show you this one. Join here, okay, and then single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the spike stitch, okay, and then we go yarn over twice and drop down into the purple one. And skip the stitch behind it, and then go single crochet across to our next spike stitch. And this is the last one I'll do because you guys can see the pattern starting. Actually, I should go all the way to the end. I'll go, what is it? 2 more rows. 1 more row. Okay. So that one, pretty straightforward. You guys are getting the idea of the pattern. Now this next one is going to be the last one we do for this diagonal. Okay. That's why I want to do it, because I want to show you what happens when you end. So I'm chaining one. The chain one is part of the join. It's joining with a slip stitch includes the chaining one. So it's like pull up a loop and chain one. And then single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet all the way up to the last spike stitch I worked, and then go down 3 rows and make another spike stitch. Okay, single crochet across to the next spike stitch that I worked. There we go. And then make another spike stitch. Notice that my purple is working into the brown again. And it gets a little fiddly at the edge with all of the tails. You just have to try your best to keep the tails out of your way. And then single crochet into that last stitch. Now for the next row, this is where we're starting, well, we're not starting another repeat, but this is where we're finishing off this repeat, because the next stitch here is the last stitch. So we're not going to want to put a spike stitch there. So this takes us back, I think, to the beginning where we started. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the next 3. So all the way across to our next spike stitch here. Okay. And then we're going to yarn over twice, drop down 1, 2, 3, and do our treble crochet spike stitch. Okay, don't work into the stitch behind it, but work in the next 4. 2, 3, and 4. And then only because I don't like to put a spike stitch in the last stitch, I will work a single crochet into that. If I did want to put a spike stitch in, I could. It's 1, 2, 3. It's right here at the edge, and it's super fiddly right there. I just feel like it doesn't give as clean of an edge. Okay, for me that looks, I don't know, it tends to curl differently. I don't like it as much, but you definitely can work the spike stitch right up to the edge if you want to. I prefer to have an edge stitch on each side. So one thing I noticed with this is that especially on this beginning edge, these loops get really loose, right? When you do whatever finishing you're going to do, you should tighten these loops. So on this swatch, what I did was I took every two threads and I pulled them back up through. In fact, I'll show you on this one. Let me cut this off. I pulled them back up through and then kind of used them to make a knot just to secure it. So if I take my hook and I go, these are the 2 threads that I want to work with. I'm going to stick my hook between those 2 rows, grab these 2, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little loop, okay, and grab the ends. Grab these 2 ends and pull them through, okay? Now I've made a little loop. Now I can pull these ends through that loop. And it's almost like making fringe, but not quite. But there I've got a little knot. And that secures that looseness that you get at the end if you're doing fringe. If you're weaving them in, obviously that's going to secure it. One thing also to note, if you're planning a project in this, the very first row, because I did a chain, okay, because I did a chain, my starting tail is here. So I chained across to here, and there's no tail here because then I kind of turned and worked back into the chain. So for my first row, right? So for my first row, both of the tails are here. If you want to avoid that, you can use a foundation single crochet, because then you'll start here and you'll end here. Or you can, I know this is a pain, you can chain with 1 piece of thread and then you can start back at the same spot and do your stitches across with another piece of thread. Or the solution that I like the best, because it's the easiest, cut yourself a little tail here, okay, twice the size of your other tails, and pull it through this end of this row. like that. Now you have a matching number of ends on both sides without having to do anything funky with the crocheting. So that's something else to keep in mind as well. And that's about it. Beth, you like this stitch? Have you worked it before? Okay, so the reason that I say that it's similar to mosaic crochet, overlay mosaic, is, well, there's several different ways to do mosaic, right? Overlay mosaic, it's basically worked the same way, all in one direction, and you're dropping down and all of that stuff, but you're only dropping down one row and you're only working with single crochet. It's a little bit, it's a tighter thing. It's not these big, you know, drops that you have. So it's similar, but it's a little bit different. It's not quite the same. So something else. So you haven't used it before? Okay, cool. I want to see what you make with it then. Okay, so something else to think about too. If you don't like all these ends, you can work this stitch in the round. If you're working in the round, now you have to be careful about your repeats, because you want the repeats to start and end at the same spot, right? So the repeat is however many stitches you're doing in between your spikes plus one stitch for the spike itself. So in this case, I'm doing 4 stitches in between and then 1 for the spike. So that's a 5-stitch repeat. So in order to get it to go in the round really nice and evenly, I would want to do a 5-stitch repeat of stitches in the round. So that's the only consideration if you're working in the round, but since it's all starting from the same direction, it totally works well in the round. Also, if you're working in the round, you can, like, especially if you're making a hat or something where the inside's not going to show, or a bag, because we all love bags, you can carry the yarns up along the inside, so you don't have to cut the yarn with every round. Just kind of neatly carry each yarn up across the inside, and you'll get a little rope inside of your carried yarns. Chantal, you like it too? It is. It's super easy. I mean, if you can work in the back loop and front loop, you can do this stitch. So cool. I want to see what you guys make. I gotta figure out a way to do a show and tell, because you can't really do that on a YouTube live or anything because you guys aren't on camera. Maybe, you know what? You should show pictures in the Scrappy Stitchers Facebook group. That's what you should do. If you make something with this, go to the Scrappy Stitchers Facebook group and post a picture of it, because I'd love to see. And that's all I have for you today. So if there's no questions on that stitch, next week, again, we're doing a knit diagonal basket weave stitch. And that's about it. So I'll just say have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.